And then, listen to this. At the press conference the next day, his press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, spun this by saying, it's actually admirable. He said, it's the president being frank and open and honest. That's good. Well, in that case, shut up.
Bill Maher completely shattered Karoline Leavitt's credibility on national television after she unintentionally gave him everything he needed. There were no secret recordings, behind-the-scenes leaks, or anonymous sources involved. This all unfolded during an official White House press briefing that was recorded and watched by audiences around the globe. Maher barely had to make an argument because her own remarks were so reckless, so disconnected from logic, and so removed from everyday reality. He simply examined her statements one by one, and they quickly unraveled under the weight of their own contradictions. Get ready, because this is shaping up to be an unforgettable and deeply damaging moment for Karoline Leavitt.
For the next day, his press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, spun this by saying, it's actually admirable. He said, it's the president being frank and open and honest. That's good. Well, in that case, shut up, bitch.
At the heart of Leavitt's statement is her claim that illegal immigrants make up the Democratic Party's strongest base of support.
Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent...
She wasn't talking about just one part of a larger picture. She claimed that illegal immigrants are the Democratic Party's primary source of support. Speaking from the White House podium, her words carried the full authority of her office. Maher argues that the claim is not only inaccurate, but also so disconnected from reality that it falls apart under even the most basic examination.
Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals.
You saw in that clip, horrible.
That's why the argument falls apart before it can even stand on its own. Under U.S. law, undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections. This is not a Democratic talking point or a progressive opinion. It is the law. They cannot register to vote, cast a ballot, or take part in the federal election process. So when Leavitt stands at the White House podium and describes them as the primary source of support for an entire political party, Maher responds with a question that is both straightforward and devastating. If they can't vote, how can they be the party's main source of support?
Roam in American streets.
This is the president's spokesperson. This is not just somebody at the end of the bar. This is not just somebody ranting on social media. The Democratic Party's main constituency is made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. The Democratic Party's main constituency, and this is what the No Kings thing is about, if people are wondering, is that it looks to me like either they really believe this, which is insane, or they are just always looking for a pretext to say, to let the other side take over this country is just unthinkable. I mean, if you really believe this, I would vote for a right-wing coup if I really thought half the country was Hamas terror.
Maher doesn't ease into the discussion either. He plays the full recording, giving every word time to sink in so the audience can hear exactly what was said. Only then does he begin to break it down, not with anger or dramatic emotion, but with calm, methodical reasoning that leaves little room to defend the claim.
Having your press secretary say that the Democratic Party's main constituency is made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals, that's deranged.
It is. It is deranged.
He begins by focusing on the evidence, or more accurately, the lack of any evidence at all, claiming that undocumented immigrants are the foundation of a major political party while speaking as the White House's chief spokesperson is not a casual remark. It is a serious accusation that should be supported by facts, research, statistics, or credible analysis. According to Maher, none of that exists. There is no study, no reliable source, and no factual basis behind the statement, only a confident assertion presented as though certainty alone is enough to make it believable.
Now, are there dumb, college-age, useful idiots who march for Hamas? Yes, that exists. As does Democrats who stupidly enabled way too many migrants to enter the country. But that is a far cry from the main constituency of the party being terrorists or being illegal aliens.
Then he presses the point even further, because what concerns him goes beyond the missing evidence. He argues that the reasoning itself doesn't hold up. The entire claim conflicts with what U.S. law already makes clear. If someone is legally prohibited from participating in the electoral process, they cannot serve as the political support base of a party in the way the statement suggests. From his perspective, the contradiction leaves no room for a logical explanation. Maher lays out that inconsistency in a clear, direct way, leaving little opportunity to defend the argument. But he doesn't stop there. Next, he shifts the focus to something many commentators might overlook, not just what Leavitt said, but the way she chose to say it.
Each side has its crazies, and I'll grant you, at least the right has found a place for theirs. Unfortunately, that place is elected government. It should not be the case that the White House press spokesperson sounds exactly like the worst Karen at Dollar General.
Exactly.
He plays the same clip again, but this time his attention is on the delivery instead of the words. He examines her posture, the steady rhythm of her speech, and the almost mechanical confidence in her voice, giving the impression that the statement had been repeated so many times that questioning whether it was true never even entered the picture. Maher mirrors that delivery, recreating its tone and cadence with remarkable accuracy. In doing so, he removes much of the authority the statement originally projected. What sounded forceful from the White House podium now comes across as empty when viewed again. This change is more than a matter of presentation. It significantly weakens the message's credibility.
President absolutely has the moral high ground over the Iranian terrorist regime.
Maher then raises the stakes, arguing that the issue extends far beyond a single inaccurate claim. His focus shifts to what can happen when people in positions of real authority treat facts as if they are optional. Karoline Leavitt is not simply a commentator or a pundit looking for attention. She speaks from the White House. Millions of people hear her words, remember them, and may accept them without stopping to verify whether they are accurate. According to Maher, that is where the greatest concern lies, not just in the statement itself, but in the assumption that it will go unchallenged. When confidence replaces careful scrutiny, almost any claim can begin to sound believable, and repetition has the power to overshadow evidence.
They're not taking the Governor Schwarzenegger approach to trying to bring people together. That's
I think they're signaling to all right-wing media. That's what they do really well. The top creates the rage bait, and then all the right-wing podcasters and all the right-wing news sources, they go and get in alignment with the same thing.
Maher takes the argument even further, insisting that this is not an isolated example. In his view, it reflects a broader style of political communication, a pattern and strategy that has become increasingly louder and more confrontational over the years. The approach, he argues, is simple: make a dramatic claim, deliver it quickly, and say it with complete confidence. By the time anyone has the opportunity to challenge it, the message has already done its job. The focus shifts away from accuracy and toward reaction. Performance begins to matter more than substance, and confidence starts to outweigh evidence. Maher argues that this is the point where meaningful political discussion begins to break down, not through one dramatic event, but through the gradual loss of the expectation that public officials should tell the truth. Even so, Maher is careful not to lose sight of the larger issue beneath the political rhetoric. He acknowledges that immigration is a real and complex subject, one that affects individuals, families, communities, and the economy in ways that deserve honest and thoughtful discussion. That, he argues, is exactly why exaggerated claims are so harmful. Instead of bringing greater understanding to the issue, they push meaningful conversation further into the background. A genuine challenge is turned into a political talking point, while the people most directly affected become lost amid the noise and conflict on every side.
Well, thank you for bringing this up, Karoline. I've seen this CBS report floating around. There's a lot of liberal talking heads and pundits and Democrat elected politicians who think that this single story and these statistics and the way they are painted is somehow a shot at this administration. It is not, and let me correct the record. Number one, the Trump administration has been clear from day one that any illegal alien present in this country is subject to deportation. However, the priority, of course, is going after the convicted criminals.
Then Maher does something that few people in these debates are willing to try. He turns the focus around. With a single question, he changes the entire perspective. He asks what would happen if a Democrat made an equally sweeping, unsupported claim about Republicans. Would people simply accept it without question? Would it pass by unnoticed? Or would it face immediate criticism and be picked apart within hours? The question doesn't just linger. It makes an impact because, according to Maher, it reveals the double standard he has been pointing to all along. In his view, accountability often depends on who is speaking and who is listening. Some statements are met with careful scrutiny, while others are allowed to pass with little challenge. The expectations shift depending on the audience, creating a different set of standards for different people.
That's not what the secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. We've never had a secretary of defense. Who cares more?
Get through or tragic things happen. It's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad.
Yeah,
as you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact. Especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN.
At this point, Maher's tone begins to change. He is no longer responding only to a single video. Instead, he presents it as a warning because, in his view, the issue goes far beyond one controversial remark or one White House press secretary. He argues that it reflects a broader trend, a political culture that is drifting away from the expectation of truth and toward an environment where claims are not expected to withstand careful examination. The priority becomes whether a clip spreads widely, not whether it is accurate. Statements are designed to travel as quickly as possible before anyone has the chance to challenge them. In that kind of atmosphere, attracting attention becomes more important than being correct, and those with the largest platforms no longer feel obligated to back up their claims with evidence.